Welcome to the Let's Get Vulnerable podcast. It's your host, Dr. Morgan. I am back in my home studio. I'm so happy to be here with you all. And today's episode is one that I needed on my healing journey. That's why I'm so excited to bring this to you. We are going to talk about the messy middle when you're healing your attachment style, when you're on your way to becoming securely attached. What are some of the pitfalls? What are some of the struggles that you can expect on this journey? I hope that this episode normalizes some things for you. Maybe it'll even prepare you for things as you're healing. But this is exactly what I wish someone had shared with me when I was doing my own healing work. So I'm excited to dive into this with you. And you guys, I'm getting so excited about November. I have so many things to share with you. There is a big surprise coming. I don't know if you follow me on Instagram. If you don't yet, come say hello at Dr. Morgan Coaching, Dr. Morgan Coaching on Instagram. But I posted on my story. I was traveling out of town and my fiance was here and we got a special package in the mail. This is something that I have been working on for a long time. And I feel like we finally nailed it, got it right. And I'm going to make it available to you within a couple of weeks. So get excited. And once it's available, it's going to be limited time. This is kind of going to be like a limited drop. So, anyways, can't wait to share it. But I was out of town. We got the package and I FaceTimed my fiance and he was so cute. He was so excited. He was like, yeah, babe, let's open up the package. We got to see it. I'm so excited. And we got all into it. So even though I wasn't home to see it, he still made it so much fun. And it's just a reminder for me of choosing a partner who's going to share your joy, share your excitement, cheer you on, be a huge support to you. You deserve that. I think it's so heartbreaking to me when I see couples where clearly there's one person who's doing really well. Maybe they just moved up in their career and then you see the partner that's not supportive. Like there are actually so many people who are in relationships where they don't feel supported, they don't feel celebrated, they don't even feel like they can come to their partner with good news, let alone the things they're struggling with. And that just breaks my heart because ultimately, if someone's not willing to celebrate you, cheer you on, be by your side, it's just a reflection of their own insecurity, their own pain, their own struggles, right? Like they are struggling in their life. So then they're finding it hard to come celebrate you. And I'm so grateful that I have a partner who celebrates me, who supports me, who cheers me on, who sometimes gets even more excited about things in my life than I get about things in my life. And I don't know. I think some of us as children, we didn't have the kinds of parents that were cheering on the sidelines, right there with us, making sure that we felt celebrated. And there's something about, for me, like being celebrated so much in my relationship that just feels so healing. It's so healing. Anyways, long story short, I could go on a whole tangent about this clearly, but there's something big coming, you guys. I can't wait to share it with you. It's going to be so fun and you're not going to want to miss it. Okay, today's episode, let's get into it. Talking about the messy middle here of becoming securely attached, the journey to secure attachment. It does not happen overnight. I've now helped thousands of people through the podcast, through my programs. I've helped so many people make this journey. And I think occasionally I get people where they want it to happen quickly. They want it to happen within like a week, right? Or two. And the reality is it takes time. It does take time. Now, it doesn't take a whole decade. It doesn't take years, but I have definitely learned that it can be a lot shorter than maybe traditional psychotherapy thinks that it should be. But even that, it's still going to take time And for you to get to the place where you are showing up a majority of your life securely attached, it's just going to take time. And I think when I'm coaching people, I want them to understand that the most important decision is just making the decision to heal. So no matter where you are on your journey, if you're at the very beginning, if you're in the middle and you're going through all these things I'm about to talk about, or if you are 5 years down the road, wherever you are in your healing journey, the most important thing is you made the decision to heal. You made the decision to become securely attached. That's the hardest thing. Most people avoid that decision. So the fact that you made the decision, I want you to give yourself gratitude and realize that, of course, it is a lifetime commitment of being curious about yourself, of having genuine self compassion and love and patience with yourself, and continually deciding to realign with your securely attached self, and doing that over and over and over until eventually you are spending the majority of your time in a securely attached place. But it takes time to get there. So if you're listening today, you likely have already made the decision. You're listening to this podcast. Congratulations. You've made the decision. You want to work on yourself. You want to become securely attached. So I'm cheering you on. I'm happy you're here. And let's get into these things that you're going to experience on your journey. Number one, this is, of course, you will, oh my gosh, I was trying to say feel and will at the same time. You guys, I don't edit these episodes, okay? So you are getting my raw, authentic words, and sometimes things like that happen. So let's try that again. You will feel very vulnerable. You will feel raw. You will feel exposed. You will feel, especially in the beginning of your journey, you will feel intense emotions. It is normal to feel angry. It's normal to feel deeply disappointed. It is normal to feel immense amounts of sadness and grief, whether it's for your past experiences, your current experiences, or even things that maybe you feel are not going to happen in your future. But it's normal to feel immense amounts of sadness, anger, grieving, disappointment, all of the feelings, all of the feelings. And sometimes what will happen is this, is once your brain and your body knows that it is safe to feel the feelings. I'll talk about this in my own journey because I think an example is helpful, right? Once, and this was for me not that long ago, this was like 5 years ago when I got really serious about my own healing. And I started to show up for myself the way that I was so good at showing up for my clients. I started showing up with real love, compassion, understanding, and curiosity. And I taught my brain and I taught my body that it was safe to feel emotions, and it was safe to explore parts of my past that had been previously locked up. And when you start to do that, more things come up. Things that maybe you had dissociated from the past, things you had forgotten. It's so common that you're going to start having more memories. For example, I have a large chunk of my childhood, probably from about age 6 to 14, that is incredibly blurry. And when I started doing this work, I had more and more memories from that time in my life, memories that I had previously completely dissociated from, meaning when they happened, I disconnected myself from my body and my emotions, and I was not present in the experiences as they were happening. This is common in trauma. And finally, early 30s, as I'm becoming more aware, becoming more compassionate towards myself. My brain and my body are starting to learn that it is safe to feel and it is safe to remember my experiences. I started to have memories of things happening that I had no idea. And I just want to normalize that for you if you're going through it, that's normal, right? It's actually normal. And for me, it was a lot of things about moments where I had been completely neglected and not prioritized, things that had been said, things for me that happened during that time. I think a lot of you know this story, but a lot of chaos in my family life, losing my mom at a young age, my dad getting involved in a new relationship quickly. And then, unfortunately, the person that he then went on to marry, my stepmother, being very mentally unstable, and all of the things that caused in my childhood. Remembering things like being locked in my room during the day, not being allowed to leave my bedroom, my twin sister and I, things that were done and said. Basically, it was once again a lot of stuff that I had completely dissociated from, that then my brain allowed myself to remember. And that can be really overwhelming. That's why I always encourage people, do not try to go through this by yourself. When you are in this messy experience, and let's just normalize it being messy, it will be messy. Please don't try to do it by yourself. Please. You really do need someone there to hold space, to validate, to help you emotionally regulate, right? We need support. So anyways, that's number one. You may have all kinds of emotions come up. You may have memories come up that you never remembered, right? And you may just feel pretty overwhelmed. It's normal to feel that. Number two, I think this is hard. Once we start to see our old relationship patterns, for example, myself, once I started to see my disorganized attachment style and I saw it really clearly, and I really started to understand how it was showing up and the behaviors that I had in relationships, you do experience grief over your past relationship experiences. And now I want to make something crystal clear. Grief is painful. There's sadness. We are allowed to grieve. The thing that I want you to stay away from is self-criticism. Grief is very different than self-criticism, right? When you're starting to realize your patterns and you're realizing you're the common denominator, the role that you're playing in things, of course, you're going to have grief. And then, of course, is likely that you may have some self-criticalness coming up. You may have shame. And I want you to realize this: when you start to blame yourself, if you're critical of yourself, if you have shame, that's actually just a mechanism that keeps you stuck. Shame keeps you from feeling what you need to feel. Shame keeps you from acceptance. And the sooner that you can get to acceptance and self-compassion, the sooner you can fully heal. So it's normal to start having all of these realizations about your past relationships. For me, I remember as I was really doing this work, going back and looking at some of my text threads of people that I knew where it was a really toxic relationship. It was on again, off again, and realizing, oh my God, I was also the toxic one. There were so many relationships where in my head, the narrative was that, oh, this emotionally unavailable asshole was the reason why this relationship didn't work out. But then in taking ownership and taking accountability, I could go back through the text threads and go, wow, there were times I said really not good things, protest behavior like things. There was times where I was the one that went completely dark, didn't respond for days. There was times where I was the one that reached out randomly when I knew that the relationship was over, right? So I think it's so important in your healing journey as you're becoming securely attached to look at your past patterns and to, of course, get to this place where you have acceptance and understanding for the role that you played. And it's going to become really crystal clear. And I'm not saying that obviously you're also going to understand the role that other people played and the way that you were attracted to those people, right? And that, of course, they also didn't show up well. But one of the most powerful things is that understanding of how you were showing up and how that really impacted the dynamic as well. And how, if you were showing up securely attached and you were showing up with high self worth and you had let go of your past trauma and you were no longer holding on to unhelpful relationship beliefs, if you had been showing up that way, you would have cut off that relationship. That relationship would not have persisted. You would have disengaged, right? And there's grieving over that. There's grieving over the pain that it caused you, the way that it impacted your friendships and impacted your family, and impacted your career, it impacted your physical health, it impacted your mental health. Relationships impact us in every area of our lives. And when we are engaging in toxic relationships, of course, there's ways that it negatively hurt you. And there's grief about that. There's grief about that. So I think the biggest thing you can do, allow yourself to feel the grief, acknowledge the pain, acknowledge how hard it was that you showed up the way that you did for as long as you did, and have so much love and compassion, have so much acceptance and grace, and understand that your attachment system is a survival system. Your brain uses your attachment system to help you form connections and bonds. We need relationships to survive. Whatever you learn to do in relationships, you learn to do as a way to survive. You would not beat yourself up about something that you learn to do as a survival mechanism, right? The compassion here is to understand that it helped you survive at one point, but now it's causing you pain. Now it's causing you to have all these toxic relationship experiences. It's causing you to attract people who do not meet your relationship standards. It's causing you to play out unfinished business from your childhood, repeating unhealthy relational dynamics from your childhood, right? So we can look at it and we can go, okay, that was survival at one point. Didn't help me survive, but now it's causing me pain. Now it's time to change it. Okay. So that's the second part, is really understanding that you're going to start to really understand your past patterns and you're going to have grief about them and you're going to want to judge yourself. But instead of judging yourself, you're going to have compassion and understanding. You're going to remember Maya Angelou and you are going to say, when I knew better, I could do better, right? When we know better, we do better. And that is a huge part of becoming securely attached. Okay, what's the third thing? The third thing that you can expect, you are going to fall back in your old attachment patterns. You are going to fall back in anxious, avoidant, or disorganized attachment strategies. They will show up as you are becoming securely attached. And instead of beating yourself up, instead of going, oh my gosh, I've made no progress, I want you to realize that you are rewiring your brain. You are rewiring your brain. I always explain it this way to my clients, and maybe you've heard me say this on the podcast. I like this metaphor. When you are trying to create your securely attached neural pathways, your securely attached responses to things that happen in your relationships, when you're trying to create that, it's like you've got this gravel road. I'm from Montana, y'all. I drive on a lot of gravel roads, okay? You've got this gravel road that's brand new. You're trying to make this new road. It is bumpy. There are potholes. The gravel's not really filled in all the way yet. And then you've got your super highway. Think about Interstate 90 near me. You've got this paved road that is easy to drive on. You can go 80 miles an hour. It's your go-to response. That's your old attachment style. So in the beginning, it's going to be a lot of work. It's going to be a lot of work to go down this new set of neural pathways, your new securely attached responses. It's going to take a lot of work, but eventually you're going to pave that new road and it's going to be easy. And that's going to be the road that you take. But give yourself compassion if you notice you're finding yourself responding in old ways. I'm guessing this, when you have moments where you slip back into your previous attachment style, it's because you are stressed. You might be low on sleep. Maybe you haven't eaten anything. You might have a dysregulated nervous system. When we are not taken care of, when we are not in a place where we can pause and respond instead of react, of course, we're going to be much more likely to show up as old versions of ourselves. That's why one of the things that's so important when becoming securely attached and paving those new neural pathways is you need to take care of yourself on a high level so that you can intentionally decide to show up securely attached. You can intentionally realign with that version of yourself. But don't be surprised if some of your old attachment patterns show up. What I want you to do when that happens is have so much gratitude. Have so much gratitude that you noticed. Have so much gratitude that you noticed, even if you notice it after the fact. And then I want you to say, wow, I am so glad that I'm learning a new way of being. What does it look like for me to realign with my securely attached self? What do I need? What would help me get to my securely attached self? Right? Some of you, it's going to be, well, I need to do a journal exercise. I need to take a hot bath. I need to deal with my unfinished business that I have from XYZ relationship, and I need to go write a letter to that person, right? I want you to just start getting really curious about asking what you need so that you can show up securely attached. And once again, have that gratitude that you noticed, because there was a time when you were unconsciously showing up in those old attachment patterns the majority of the time. But now you have options. Now you notice those old patterns and you are learning to decide to show up differently. Okay, moving on. There's two other things I want to talk about that happen in this messy middle of healing your attachment style. The fourth one on this list of 5, the fourth one is it's going to be new for you to start taking up space. So this will be expressing your emotions. This will be asking for what you want, asking for what you need. That's going to feel new. And it might feel uncomfortable in the beginning, right? As I'm becoming securely attached and I'm becoming emotionally regulated, I'm becoming more present, I'm more kind to myself, I'm more kind to others, I'm more in tune to what I'm feeling. I have a lot more awareness about my emotions, my needs, my experiences. Of course, now that I'm aware of these things, I'm going to be expressing them more. And you may have these moments of going, oh my gosh, did I just talk a lot? Did I just take up too much space? I remember when I was early in my healing journey, I would sort of have these it would be like, well, what's the word I'm looking for? Like a vulnerability hangover, right? Where right after hanging out with a friend or the next day, I'd be replaying everything in my mind going, oh my gosh, I expressed that. I said that. I asked for that. I set that boundary. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I did that, right? Because it was so new for me to take up space. But I want to remind you this, you're worthy of taking up space. You've always been worthy of taking up space. It's just that in the past, your attachment system wasn't wired to allow you to take up space. You thought that you had to make yourself small in order to maintain connection, but that's not the truth. The truth is you get to show up as your full, authentic self, and it gets to be emotionally safe for you. And this gets to make your relationships better, gets to make your relationships better. But that's going to be a new experience. So I want you to give yourself so much grace. If you sharing starts to feel scary or it feels uncomfortable, just remind yourself that's part of the journey. And I'm learning to take up space. And I'm also learning how to encourage other people to take up space and to model it for them in hopes that they can also show up authentically. All right, number 5, this is the last one. This one I want to call, what should we call this? I had written down struggling to trust stability, but I want to call like, for me, when I'm helping clients through this, it's like, oh yeah, we're having to teach your brain that secure attachment is sexy. Because for a lot of us, when we've been in these relationships where there's been this, either as an anxious avoidant connection or disorganized, there's some kind of attachment wounding that's happening in the relationship. We're bringing our past to the relationship. We're used to a lot of up and down. We're used to a lot of emotional instability. We're used to people who don't do what they say they're going to do. We're used to being hyper vigilant, always waiting for the other shoe to drop. We're used to our emotional homes being chaos and being reactive constantly and being in fight or flight mode, right? When that is your old model, and then you find yourself in a relationship where you're calm, your nervous system's regulated, you can work through conflict peacefully, you're not questioning if the relationship is going to make it or not anytime you have an argument. If you are in a secure relationship where your emotions are expressed, where your partner is validating what you're feeling, and where you feel emotionally regulated the majority of the time, that is going to feel so different. It's going to feel so different for you. And for some of you, you will question if you are attracted to the person. You'll go, but this just feels kind of boring. This just feels kind of boring. I hear that all the time. And the reality is, I like to be very honest about this with people, is that when you're new to a securely attached relationship, it's going to be really important that you learn, is it that I'm not comfortable with secure attachment? Or is it that we're truly incompatible? If you are used to having to quote unquote earn love and you're used to someone not being emotionally available to you, and now you're in a relationship where it's secure, you can find yourself devaluing the relationship, aka finding things you don't like about it, finding reasons why you should leave, why you should break up. You are going to distance yourself from the relationship, right? Unless you become conscious of what's going on and you start to train yourself to accept, you have to train yourself to accept emotional availability. And then what's so beautiful about this is you get to this deeper level of intimacy that's simply not possible when you're used to emotionally unavailable dynamics. When you're with someone who's emotionally available and you start to receive it and you grow and deepen that relationship over time, this is a level of intimacy that is just so beautiful and really so secure, that creates for a ton of safety, that then allows for a lot of freedom, a lot of depth in the connection, and so much authenticity, and the ability for both people to grow together, to change as individuals and still maintain the relationship. And I can tell you that I was in securely attached relationships. I've been in a few of them, the longest with my fiance. And yes, in the beginning, when I was first healing and I was first becoming securely attached and starting to spend more time in that attachment style, I had to work on accepting emotional availability and not getting turned off by it. And it took a lot of journaling, it took a lot of intentional realignment, right? And I can tell you that the breakups that I experienced when I was securely attached, those breakups, I want to call them easy. It's not that they were easy, it's that they were not these emotionally dysregulated, attachment wounded breakups. They were not these huge, terrible, I felt like I was dying kind of breakups. Instead, they became breakups about compatibility. Because yes, we need secure attachment. That's the foundation to your relationship house. You need secure attachment and you need to learn how to be attracted to secure attachment. But then you also need compatibility. So when your dating life gets to be about compatibility, it's so much more fun. Oh my God. So much more fun and easy. And I wish that for everyone. I wish that you can find yourself showing up in a securely attached place to where your dating life then gets to be about, well, who am I compatible with? So much more fun. Speaking of that, actually, this is a really good segue. Right now, for the Black Friday offer that I have for you for a limited time this November, I am going to do something that I've never done before. I am going to offer you the Breakup Academy. This is a self-paced course that has so much content. I'll tell you what it has, but I'm going to offer it to you at 50% off. So normally it's $997 and now you can get it for $497. And let me tell you about this. Okay, it has so much. Everything you need to get over your ex, okay? But it's a lot more than just that. I want to, even if you're not going through a breakup right now, but you realize, oh my gosh, I need to wipe the slate clean when it comes to my relationships. I need to let go of my past relational trauma. And I would highly recommend this course. It's going to teach you foundational pieces. This is if I could work with you, these are the things I would teach you in the beginning. So, how to regulate your emotions, how to connect to yourself, how to build daily practices that really fill up your cup and just take you to that place of having high self-worth. So I want you to be able to feel grounded in yourself, filled with self-trust, and fully empowered. And then, like I said, it's also going to really help you process any repressed emotions. You know how I was talking about today in part one of what you experience in the messy middle of feeling all the feelings. This is going to help you really process through all those emotions, and it's going to walk you through it in a guided way. The cool thing about the Breakup Academy is there is this amazing workbook that goes along with it, and it's all the prompts, everything you need, so you can just process things as you're going through it. So it's step-by-step guided processing of your past so that you can release it all and feel so much lighter. Okay. And then, of course, it wouldn't be a course from me if it didn't talk about attachment theory. So, of course, you're going to learn applied attachment theory, how to really understand how your attachment style is showing up, and then the things that you need to move towards a securely attached dynamic. And then we do a ton of forgiveness work. You always hear people talk about forgiveness and you're like, what does that actually mean? Well, this walks you through what does it look like to actually do forgiveness work. I call this part of the course Forgiveness for Freedom because you get free from the weight of your past relationships and you're letting go of so much. And then this might be my favorite part of the course. You also get the life upgrade. And this is where I help you get really intentional about what you want, what you're calling in. And I give you a ton of framework and structure for how do you do this in your life and create practices that help you bring in exactly what you want. Right. And then there is some bonuses. You also get the podcast vault. It's all the episodes that are specifically related to helping you release your past. And it's also a bonus training called the Healthy Dating Reset. And this is all about how do you master those early stages of dating so that you can attract a secure relationship? Because I get so many questions about the early stages. Okay. So this offer, like I said, 50% off. This is my first little Black Friday sale I've ever done with this offer. In order to get it, you have to use the link that's in the show notes. So I'll put the link in the show notes. You have two options. I do have a masterclass that's called So Over It, and you can watch this masterclass, and it's going to kind of walk you through everything that you could learn. It'll tell you like what you're going to go through in the Breakup Academy. Or if you just know, hey, Dr. Morgan, I need this. It's 50% off. I know I need it. There's also going to be a link for you to just go get it right away. So either way, this is such a good deal, you guys. Don't miss out on it. If you've been listening to the podcast and you're like, I don't know if I'm ready for the program, but I do know I need to do something, then this is for you. Like this is an absolute no-brainer. Go get it. Okay, I'll put those links in the show notes. But I just want to review really quick everything we talked about, the 5 things that come up when you are in the messy middle. Number 1, remember we talked about this, you're going to feel raw, you're going to feel exposed, you're going to have a ton of emotions come up, and you probably will have some memories resurface that you didn't remember previously. So you're just going to go through a lot of emotions as you're becoming securely attached. Number 2, you're going to start to really realize your relationship patterns. You'll have a ton of awareness. And with that awareness, you're going to have grief. You're probably going to be grieving some of your past relationship experiences. Number 3, you're going to have times where you feel like you're regressing, where you're not making any progress, where you're going, going back to old ways of being. And that's normal. Remember my metaphor about the gravel road, right? You're building these new neural pathways. It takes time. And then number 4, you're going to learn how to take up space. You're going to learn how to take up space, and that's going to feel kind of uncomfortable and weird. And you might have vulnerability hangovers, but you're just going to keep reminding yourself, oh yeah, it's safe for me to take up space. And also remind yourself you deserve to be in relationships where taking up space is celebrated, right? Where both people are able to do that. Okay. And then number 5, you're going to start to learn that secure is sexy. You're going to start to be attracted to securely attached people. You are going to start to love stability. You're going to start to love it when someone is emotionally available. Your nervous system is going to calm down and regulate so that your emotional home allows you to be present and tuned in to yourself and to others. And you're going to get really good at receiving. A lot of you struggle with that. I know some of you listening or feel called out. You are everybody else's therapist. You're there for everyone else, but you really struggle to receive. And I'm telling you, when you become securely attached, you're going to start to get good at receiving, and secure is going to be sexy. All right, y'all. I hope you love this episode. I think for some of you, it's probably a big eye opener. And once again, this is what I would have needed when I was going through my own healing journey. So I hope this was helpful for you. I am sending you so much love. And of course, as always, I'm wishing you high self-worth and great relationships. I'll talk to you soon.